So, first things first. I want to write some processing code, right? Like, that's the language I told you we were going to learn. So we should figure out how to do that. So, first things first, you need a compiler, right? So the way you get the compiler for processing is you do this. You go to processing.org. P.S. The name of this language makes Google searches a nightmare. I'm sorry about that. There's nothing I can do, but I'm going to show you a little way around it. Okay. So this is processing.org. Processing is a free thing. It's actually based on Java, which we're going to talk about a lot later on. And right now, we're not going to talk about it at all, except to say that it works. If you find that this doesn't work on your personal computer, it's probably because your version of Java needs an update. Cool. So we're going to hit download processing, and then you need to select some stuff, right? I'm assuming you all are Windows users? No? What are you, Mac?
Linux.
Linux. Dude, nice. Which build?
Kelly. Kelly roll.
Gross. Don't stand.
There you go.
I don't know it. It's new. I don't want to learn new things. Stay away from me
Network
with that.
manager is crap, but other than that, it's good.
Cool. All right, so if you want to download the Linux version, have at it. They tell you to donate. You don't have to donate to them. Blah, blah, blah. See, it's downloading down here, even though I didn't donate money. If you want to give them money, go for it. This really is a slick thing that they've built, and they do a really nice job. So later, when you've made your millions writing code, you should probably kick a couple bucks to processing because they helped. That said, you all are college students, right? So I know you don't have a couple bucks to give them. That's okay. Once the zip file downloads, show it in a folder. Open said zipped archive. What the heck? Oh, you guys see what happened? I opened the wrong zip file. I opened one called Final Project. Let me collect the appropriate zip file. So this folder here is the thing you need to make processing run. You can stick that on a USB key if you want to have it with you. Right, so if you want to write code in here and then walk to the library and write code there, and then walk to your house and write code there, and then go across the street to someone else's house and write code there, just stick it on a USB key, save your files to the USB key, it'll work flawlessly from there. Don't lose the silly key, right? If you have this on a physical object that's small, back it up on the internet. Okay, I recommend for everybody to have a Google Drive account that you back everything up to. If you want to use something else, like whatever, have at it. That goes especially double for you Linux user, because the only thing that happens with Linux that's terrible is that you'll update it and then nothing will work.
I have experience.
Yeah, me too. I used to use Arch, which is rolling updates and super bare bones. And I fully bricked a computer by updating without following the steps exactly.
I did that with your phone too.
Yeah, it sucks. You're like, perfect, all my things are gone. So, copy this, throw it someplace. It doesn't have to be someplace fancy. The desktop will certainly work. There should be a processing folder on the desktop on all of these computers. A little shortcut to a processing, maybe. And actually, I already have this on here, so I'm going to open it. Okay, so once you get processing open, which apparently is taking a second. Okay, you will get blank stuff, right? If you want to get examples, there are some built in here. See the examples thing? So if you go into File, and click Examples, there are examples. There are a butt ton of examples, and they're actually pretty useful. If you want to check out examples in a different way, on here, so I'm looking at the processing page, right? Down here, there's examples and tutorials, right? If you click on these, they'll tell you, right? Here's a piece of run processing code, and then here's the code that's generated that thing, right? So you can use this to get some inspiration if you need it. They're organized pretty well. That said, you might find that you skip around between the kind of kinds of example pretty quick, right? So when you're writing your little bits of code, you might end up pulling things from mouse movement here, right? That's like mouse input. You might end up pulling things from data, right? Because you're going to need some variables. You might end up pulling a little bit of math stuff. You might end up having some structure things. So you're going to take little bits and pieces of these examples and put them together. Don't be afraid to break stuff. That should be a rule. I should have put that on a syllabus. I'm not going to go back and edit the syllabus. But the rule 1 on the syllabus should be, do not be afraid to break things. Break this stuff. Go for it. You should try to break programs. Right? What time does this class run till?
11.
Perfect. Cool. All right. So let's try one. What do you guys want to try?
Objects.
No. Sorry, buddy. Too hard. Let's try a
Points and lines.
points and lines. That one sounds chill. Okay. I'm just going to copy and paste this code into my processing instance. So I've got my sketch here. So it should be noted that I have already learned a couple things just by glancing at this piece of code. I haven't even executed it, but I've learned one thing.
They have weird images.
They have weird what?
Images.
It's fine. Don't sweat that. What else do you see? You guys see the one really obvious thing here?
Draw a gray box.
Yeah, draw a gray box is,
That's the below
it's grayed out, right? You guys see that? Why is it grayed out?
Because it's not going to show up on the actual thing.
it. It's a comment.
Yeah, I think it's commented. Let's check. How do you check to see if something's commented?
You get rid of the invert.
Yeah, get rid of the comment character and see if it changes color. Oh, okay. So this is another thing about processing that's different than Technic Center, right? You guys see what happened? It says the class draw does not exist. Frankly, I have no idea what those words mean, right? Well, I understood draw. And I guess I kind of have an idea about does not exist. And the seemed pretty easy. Okay, fine. Which word is confusing in there?
Class.
Are they referring to like
Yeah, like I know what a class is in general, right? But what do they mean?
A type of something? Like a type of variable? Or something?
Yeah, it's some kind of a type of something. So this is going to bring up a word that I'm going to ask about a lot, or a piece of vocabulary I'm going to use a lot. I'm going to use the word categorically a lot. So I'm going to ask you guys categorically, what is this thing? And what I mean by that is broadly, what type of thing is this? So apparently a class is a category of thing, right? I don't know what that is right now, but I do know it's a category of thing. Up here, these guys, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. These guys are integers. What's an integer?
A number.
Yeah, a kind of a number, right? So categorically, D is an integer. You guys see that? So D is the name of the integer here that they're setting equal to 70. We haven't talked about variables much yet, so don't sweat it. Just everywhere you see a D in this code, it's 70. That's cool with that? Let's just broadly look at what this stuff does. So this is a bunch of integers, right? I don't, like, that's maybe beyond my scope right now, but it's a bunch of integers. What's this stuff? I don't know what no smooth means at all.
It's defaulted to no smooth anyways.
Okay, let's try this one. What do you expect size to do?
Make something bigger or small. Size something.
Okay, so let me comment a bunch of this junk out because I don't know what it does. So I'm going to comment this stuff out. And it's going to get all annoyed about all this other stuff. So I'm just going to comment all that out. These are all annoyed. Commenting all of this crap out. Oh. That one didn't get annoyed, but I don't know what it does. That one didn't get annoyed either. Oh, that does the same thing as the other one at least. Right? Okay, so also I don't know what that does, so I'm getting that out of here. I don't know what this does. Let me get that out of here. Okay, so far I'm left with a size and a background. Let me try this. What does it do? Huh. That seems boring. Right? It makes a box. Oh yeah, what's my screen res?
No, it's size, the resolution, and whatever.
I don't know, let's check. Let's make it bigger. So if I make the first thing bigger, this is a good exercise. I'm going to ask this all the time. So whenever I'm writing code in here, I'm going to make a change and then I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think it's going to do?
It's going to make it wider.
Or
Taller.
taller. Probably
Wider.
wider.
The X variable is usually first.
Because the X variable is usually first, she says. It seems like it made it wider, right? Okay. Let me comment this out. What's it going to do if I comment it out?
Nothing. Wait, background. Not exist?
Yeah, it seems like it probably shouldn't exist. Like, something's going to be broken or weird here, right? Okay, let me try it. What the hell?
Oh, it doesn't have a background, but it has the gray box.
You didn't even defend that.
One of the strokes.
So, okay, let's comment out the strokes, because I don't know what the heck those do. Okay, I'm down with that. All right, so now all I have is background. Let me switch the background to something else. Where'd I get that number?
White.
You guys think that? Okay. So it's white, yes. Where did I get the number 255? Yeah, I saw this stroke down here that had a 255 in it, and I said, maybe they're similar. Right? Don't be afraid to try plugging stupid stuff into these. It's totally fine. If it breaks it, who cares? Right? The worst that's going to happen is you're going to write a piece of processing code that's going to brick your computer. That said, I don't think you can manage that one.
I did blue screen on mine.
I think the very worst you can do is get your computer to blue screen and need a restart.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Okay? So don't sweat it. Write whatever you want in here. It's pretty safe. It's not going to harm your computer. If you're worried about it harming your computer, execute it on one of these. Okay. It made a little white box now. How big is that white box? Guesses? Pixels? Say that again, Rick?
Minimal size.
The minimal size. Kinda. So close. Not maybe minimal, but the usual size, apparently. Or the default size. If you spend a second and think about screen resolutions, so the screen res I'm using right now for this computer is 1680 by 1050. So if you think about 1600s wide, that's probably about a 16th of the screen across. And it's about a 10th of the screen up and down. So how big does that make this default box? Yeah, it's probably 100 pixels by 100 pixels. So if I change my size to 8 by 3, what do I expect to happen?
So it'll be smaller.
I expect it to be smaller than the default. I'm not sure if you all can see this, but in there's a very, very small white rectangle.
It's wider than it is tall.
And it is wider than it is tall. Okay, so we're going to use this size command all the time in here. And 800, 600 is a reasonable choice. Okay, so here, little... Oh, now I can't see where the window ends and the box begins, but whatevs. So we can change the background color. We can change the background to 153. Where did I get 153? From the stroke. So that's probably gray. Give me another good reason that you think that's gray.
It looks great.
It looks gray. Yes, nice. Observational evidence. Why else? Yeah, it's about halfway between 0 and 255. A little more towards the...
Black.
Oh, that was too much math. Never mind. Forget it. Don't worry about it. It's a little more towards the white. Okay, so let's see. What else is going on here? There are lines.
Is that a 1080p model? What happens if you make it more than the resolution?
What? Oh, if I make it bigger than the resolution of the screen, it'll give me scroll bars.
Oh, really?
I think. You'll have to forgive me. I haven't played much with. Oh, no, it just makes a window that I can't drag on the screen. That didn't seem 8,000 by 6,000.
Oh god, 80,000.
Oh, so
It scales it down, maybe? Oh no.
Do you guys see what's going on back here?
Something's spitting
oh,
out.
it's not happening.
It is not pleased.
Oh yeah.
Not
There's
pleased.
a lot of memory, that's an understatement.
Not overjoyed with what I've done. Why does it use a bunch of memory?
80,000 pixels. Why?
Yeah, so
It's-
there's just one thing about computer architecture that I expect you to understand today. They're made out of little switches, right? Does everybody believe that's basically what a computer is?
Yes.
It's a whole mess of little switches. So each of those little switches can only hold on or off. So it takes several little switches to hold information like a number between 0 and 80,000. Right? So I'm using up a bunch of switches to store what's happening at each pixel. You guys see that? And at each pixel, I'm also trying to record a color. So every pixel is an X and a Y and a color. And I'm having a ton of trouble because there's too many switches required to run that piece of code. You guys good with that? That's a super dumb explanation of that, but it'll kind of work for a while. Okay. Picture. All right. What else was in this piece of example program that I feel like I can use?
Lines.
Yeah, I understood the word line. Now it's whining about the P3s and P2s and that stuff. Yeah, those should be numbers. So let me do this. If I go like this and just type line, it'll give me a hint. This compiler's pretty slick. It likes to give you hints. So on the bottom there, it's saying the function line expects parameters. Don't worry about what functions and parameters are quite yet. But the little thing in the quotes there, line, parentheses, something, comma, something, comma, something, comma, something. It expects some stuff in there. It expects 4 things. Those are probably numbers of some kind. So let me make up some rando numbers.
So your integers are defined at the top.
Yep. So if I want to use an integer, right, if I want to use one of the things that was defined at the top, I'd need to uncomment those. I'm just going to be lazy and throw some rando numbers in here. Whoops. Not adjust my brightness. 10, comma 20, comma 300, comma 300 and no, too much, comma 700. But I threw some random numbers in. The first two are smaller than the last two. What do I expect this to do?
Make a line.
Yeah, I expect it to make a line somewhere.
It expects a flip, not an integer.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
This language is what I would call sloppy about typing. It's not bad. It's actually very convenient. Don't sweat it for a while. We need to talk about variable types another day. Right now, I just want you to be able to like draw lines.
So would it draw like you can put 10.5 instead of 10? Or just still put it at 10 or 11?
Yeah, it'll round because it needs to actually highlight a pixel, right?
That's
So it's gonna do some rounding. Let's see. So I have my line goes like this, from someplace in the upper left to way down here. Huh. What do you want to change to understand how this line thing works?
We could change them all to 0 except for 1.
Okay. Sure. Let's try it. So 0, 0, 0, 700, and
There's nothing.
Well,
I'm not sure that it did nothing.
Oh, it's the same color. Is it?
Let me see. So
You can't see it because it's horizontal line.
oh, you think it's on one of the edges of the picture or something?
Well, because the line looked like it started at the point 10:20 and ended at 3:97.
Oh, Lakin, you're winning today. Okay, so she says it looks like it started at 10, 20 here, and then went to 300, 700. So right now, I think this is starting at 0, 0, and ending at 0, 700. Is there a little bit of something right down the left side of this? You guys see that? So what if I just moved things over 1? So if I went from 1, 0 to 1, 700. You guys see that thing a little bit more now? So what if I went from 10, 0 to 10, 700? Oh, there it is. Now I see it for sure. So be a little careful, right? If you're playing with something near the edge of the screen, sometimes you just can't see it. Also, if you have this thing quite high, right? Like if you have the resolution in this box quite high, sometimes it can be hard to see the 1 pixel wide lines, and you'll need to increase something about the width of them, right? So let me show you how I learn about new functions in processing. So we learned by just kind of hack and bashing this, right? There's another way to learn, which is to go into what's called the IDE. Or to Google processing line. Sorry, I said IDE, I meant API. So if you go in here, the API is just like the help section. So if you go in here, you can see all of the stuff about lines that they feel like is crucial for you to know. I'm aware of at least one thing that was in here wrong last semester.
In the line?
No, it's in the modulo section, but it's possible that there's some small error in the explanations in here, so just a slight bit of caution, but for the most part, they're super good, right? So if you want to know how a line works, there's this like, okay, so there's a description, there's some examples, there's a syntax kind of statement. That's a little bit like what it told us, like how it kind of warned us. And then there's what the parameters mean. Now, what does the word parameter by itself mean?
What it's representing, what it means. It is meaning.
What does the word parameter mean here? So,
Is it something that defines something else?
yeah, it's kind of the argument that you pass a function in this case, right? So what is a function? You guys know what a function is?
Something that has an input and an output?
Yeah. Something that takes some inputs and does something with them to make an output. Right? So, yeah, and this is not math. So, the vertical line test is really weird here. There is an analogy of the vertical line test, and if you want to hear it, let me know. But a function is basically something that takes some input and makes an output. So the line object here is a function, and it takes some inputs. Namely, it takes 4 inputs that are 2 x values and 2 y values, and then it makes a line between them. Cool with that? There are lots of functions in any given language. Knowing which functions are available is oftentimes really hard. The API is a place you can go look, right? And then if you want to try a line out, you can just grab some of the example and throw it in. So like down here within my kind of in between here, I'm going to throw in some example. What do I expect these lines to look like? So here's a line from 3020 to 8520. What's this thing about stroke?
The color? Oh.
Yeah, it's something about either the color or the width, right? Both of those make sense? Okay, so if I want to know what stroke actually does without just executing code, if I look at the API and go down here to related, oh, there isn't one for stroke. That's silly. Okay, so let me get the one for stroke up. So stroke, if you read the description, it sets the color used to draw lines and borders. Okay, so that's a color thing. So where's the width? You see something in this list that's probably the width? Probably stroke weight. Let's try it. So let me go back to my little bit of processing code. So I expect there to be a line from 3020 to 8520. Ooh, this is going to be weird because then this thing changes the color, right?
Yeah.
So is that going to change the color of this line or this line? Or all the lines?
Yes.
Good. No idea. Could be any of those. Depending on the language, it could certainly be any of those. The way processing is going to work is it's going to read from the top down. So this line's going to be the default color. What did we discover the default color was? Black. Oh, which brings up an interesting point. What if you try to draw a black line on a black background?
You won't see the line.
It'll work fine.
It'll work fine, and you won't see it. Right, so be a little careful there. If you're having trouble finding the line you were trying to draw, switch the background color or switch the stroke color. So this is going to change the stroke to gray, and then draw another line, and then it's going to change the stroke to... Say that again louder, like white. You guys see that? And then it's going to draw another line. So I expect to see the black line I had before, a new black line, a new gray line, and a new white line. Those are really little. If you look really, really hard at my screen, you can see that there are 3 new lines. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, we can, I don't want to go into make it bigger right now. Right now we'll deal with, run it on your own computer so you can see it. Okay, let's try the stroke weight thing. It just said stroke weight, right? Weight, thing.
it capitalized?
Something was. Probably wait. Why would they capitalize a word in the middle of a two-word compound? Yeah, this is what's called camelback or something. So if you're writing lots of words together, just capitalize the kind of beginning words so that you can read the whole thing as a sentence or a little phrase. What's it whining about now?
It expects bangers.
It expects me to tell it something. What do I want to tell it? 3.
It's also missing a semicolon.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? How do you know that?
It says that right
That's
there.
so.
Oh. This editor's really convenient. It really wants to hold your hand. Right? It's got a spell check. It'll suggest to you if you're missing a semicolon. What's the semicolon do in terms of code? Yeah, it tells you, this is the command I intend you to do it. Right? If you forget the semicolon, it's just like waiting for more stuff. So if I hit go with this, what do I expect it to do? I expect the lines to be about 3 pixels wide, right? Anything else? Anybody got another comment? Okay, good. Don't be afraid to be wrong either, because you're all wrong. Crap.
Oh.
It's not working. Why isn't it
It
working?
reads from the top down.
Because it reads from the top down. So I define the stroke weight last. So any of the lines that appear below stroke weight would be 3 pixels wide, I think. Yeah, so let's move that to the top. Let's actually cut and paste it. Let's cut and paste it here. So now I expect to see 1 line that's skinny and 3 lines that are fat, right? Moment of truth? They seem a little bigger. How do I check if they're actually bigger?
Make it stroke weight 30
Perfect. Crank on it.
Yeah, it works.
Big fat crayon lines, exactly what I wanted to see. Please note, this thing does a funky, like, it rounded them. You guys see that?
Yeah.
It made them kind of look pretty all on its own. Here's another interesting thing. I'm going to move this to the top because I was like, oh, I forgot that at the line. I want to make that one a fatty too. Do you guys see what's going on with the order in which things are overlapping?
The order that they're on the screen.
Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
processing draws from the top, right? Let me show you the ultimate consequence of that.
Oh. Oh no.
If you put the background down later,
It'll cover it.
it covers the thing you were drawing. This is going to be especially important later when we're looping, when we're doing bits of code over and over again. If you put the background piece in after your loop, it'll just erase everything. This is convenient because it lets us make little movies because we can erase the frame. Okay, see that? It's inconvenient in that sometimes you're accidentally erasing the frame. You guys see that? So keep that background thing in mind as an eraser.
Do you know why this is doing
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you. Cool? Questions, Steels? So what I expect from you guys for next time is I want you to go fiddle around with processing a little bit. Right? Get it downloaded. Go in. Make some shapes. Draw a smiley face or something. Like, just play with it a little bit. Okay? Get some feel for how that button like how the go button works, how the screen resolution works. Break something. Like, get some error messages. Don't worry about fixing them necessarily. Just get some error messages and see how it goes. Cool?